What's going on, guys? I'm Creekmore here, and welcome to my channel. If you want to learn how to live better, live cheaper, and survive when things get tough, then be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified each time that I upload a new video. Today's video topic is going to be how to clean yourself after you number 2 after SXTF. Let's face it, it doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, how strong you are, how weak you are, how young you are, how old you are. You're going to use the restroom. You're going to do number 2 and number 1, but today we're talking about number 2 mainly. And the big question is, during a long-term grid down situation, SHTF situation, where it's long-term, where you can't just go to your local dollar store, Kmart, Walmart, or wherever and buy toilet paper to clean yourself with after you number 2. So today we're going to be looking at a few different ways that you can keep yourself clean and sanitary during a long-term grid down situation. Let's get started. This is one of those topics that is kind of difficult to find the best way to approach that topic in a way that won't offend some people. As you know, we're living in a world of easily offended and snowflakes that get offended by everything. And talking about this, which is a normal body function, might offend someone. If you're easily offended, if you get easily offended by normal bodily functions, by talking about normal bodily functions, then go ahead and turn this video off now and go find you a safe space and call it a day. For the rest of you all still with me, now we're going to talk about how to clean your butt after a long-term grid down situation happens. This is one of those situations where it's a major event and it's a long-term event, and you can't just go out and go to the supermarket, to the Kmart, to the dollar store, to the Dollar Tree, or wherever you have in your area, and buy toilet paper. You need to have stuff stockpiled, or you need to be able to use alternatives. And today we're going to talk about both of those. What to stockpile, how to stockpile it, and some of the alternatives. One of the things you can use, and this isn't the best option, but you can use leaves. I've done it myself when I've been out in the woods hunting. I've used leaves. And one of the best leaves you can use is from the mullein plant. It has the best, see, how should I put this? The mullein leaves are large, they are soft, and they do a great job of getting you clean. Leaves like dried oak leaves aren't good for getting you clean. Green oak leaves aren't really good for getting you clean. The mullein plant is one of the best plants for cleaning your rear end after you do number 2, like you're hunting out in the forest or something. It'd also be good during the summer when it's in bloom to use during a long-term grid down situation. And there's other leaves that are equally as useful and will do the job equally as well, but the mullein plant is one of the best that I've found. Just be really careful when you're looking at leaves to clean your rear end after you do number 2. Don't get poison ivy. You don't want to clean your rear end with poison ivy. That wouldn't be good, folks. That would be a painful mess. Don't do it. Be careful what you clean your butt with in the woods, or what kind of leaves you clean your rear end with. Be sure it's not poison ivy. Learn how to identify poison ivy, and don't use poison ivy. If at all possible and it grows in your area, use something like mullein leaf from the mullein plant. Another thing you can use during a long-term grid down situation is old newspapers. If you buy newspapers anyways, and you can just buy those newspapers, they stack really flat, and one newspaper will be good for at least a week for one person, depending on how thick your newspaper is. But you can get those newspapers, buy those newspapers, read your newspaper like you normally would, and just store those newspapers back in a good location, and you can use those for toilet paper during a long-term grid down situation. It's not as good as regular Charmin toilet paper or something like that, but it'll work. And it'll work in a pinch, and it's cheap, and you're already buying the newspapers anyway, so you can store those back and you'll be good to go with the newspaper. Another thing you can use, of course, is toilet paper. You can store this stuff back. You can see here, you can store it like this in a tote like this one, but you want to have the tote that has a really good lid. You can see this one has really good locks on it to lock the lid down, because when you've got stuff like this in the storage, I always use mine and replace, but use and replace, it's like food storage, use and replace. But if you've got toilet paper in storage, then if you have mice that actually get in to your storage area, Mice love this stuff, and they will get in here and they will mess it up. They will make nests in this and generally ruin your stash. So be sure when you store toilet paper that you have it in a good, strong container. And don't overfill the container, because you overfill the container and when you put the lid on, if it's overfull, the top will bulge, and you'll leave room on the sides where mice can get in. You don't want that. To be able to get the most amount of toilet paper rolls inside your container, your storage container, you want to flatten it out and store it. Flatten it and store it. You could also take and flatten this. They usually will come up a little bit, you can see. If you flatten it out and still try to come up a little bit, just be sure and don't overfill your container where the top will bulge up. You want it stored tightly and securely where no mice can get in. But you want to also put as many rolls as you can in your storage containers. You can also use like 5-gallon buckets to store these with gamma lids on the buckets, make it easy to get in. So I think it's better to have containers like this. The great thing about storing toilet paper in containers such as this, I got this at Walmart, I think the container's like $10. And the great thing about these, you can stack actually 7 or 8 on top of each other. For you store it like in a closet or something, you can store it on top of each other. And you can stack these on top because the toilet paper's not really all that heavy. Like this one is completely full here, and it weighs, I'd say, about 15 pounds, maybe 20. So you can stack up several of these on one on top of the other for compact storage. These should also go up under the bed to get it out of the way and keep everyone from seeing their stash of toilet paper. But we're going to closet under the bed or wherever. But that's one of the things about storing toilet paper is that it's large and bulky. So it's difficult to store a whole lot of toilet paper because it takes so much space up, and that's the space, especially if you live in like a small apartment or something, your space is better served to store your other pregnancy supplies like food, of course, and water and filters and things like that instead of toilet paper. But like I said, toilet paper is big, it's bulky, and that's the main downside is the space it requires to actually store toilet paper in large amounts. The next question is, how much toilet paper do you need to store? How many rolls do you need to store for a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever, 6 months or whatever you want to store? How many rolls you actually need? As a general rule of thumb, I store 1 roll of toilet paper per male in your group or family. Store 2 rolls for every female in your group or family, because you know females use toilet paper when they do number 1 and number 2, where males just use toilet paper when they do number 2. So store at least 1 roll per male in your group, and store at least 2 rolls per female in your group. You can add that all together and you can see how many rolls you need depending on how long you want to store, depending on how many people's in your group and for how many days or months or whatever you want to store toilet paper for. You can add that together and figure out how many you need. Another great thing about toilet paper is that it will make an excellent barter item. If most people don't store, but over, say, one of the containers that you get like at one of the packages of toilet paper, that's about the extent of storage for most people. When that runs out, they're going to be like, how do I wipe my butt? If you have some extra, you could trade this for way more than its value, because people will want this. It's a luxury item, and people will want luxury items, and they will want to have some semblance of normalcy. And having toilet paper will provide that semblance of normalcy, even during a long-term griddling situation. So, excellent barter item. Another thing you can use during a long-term griddling situation to clean yourself after number 2 is washcloths. So you have these washcloths and you simply wipe, fold, wipe again. You can fold and wipe again. And then once you clean yourself, you can have several of these. And once you clean yourself, then you want to get a container such as this. And you can tell there's water in it. And you want a container such as this. And then you take bleach and pour in about a tablespoonful of bleach in your water, okay? And then you take your dirty rag that you've used to clean yourself and put it in the Clorox. Push it down in there and let it soak. Snap the lid back on and give it a few shakes and let it soak there for a couple of hours. Take it out, wring it out, and hang it on the line to dry, and use it again tomorrow. If you have several of these, and you can have different colors for different people in your group. That way everybody knows whose is whose. That way you avoid reusing someone else's butt wipe. I was reading before I done this video about how people would clean themselves after number 2 back thousands of years ago. And I came upon an article that talked about the Romans, and they had a sponge on a stick. Simply a stick with a sponge on it, and they would have it fixed to the stick. And they would go use the restroom, and then take that stick, clean themselves, or I wouldn't call it cleaning yourself the way they did it, but they'd take it and clean themselves with it, hang it back up. The next guy come along to go use the restroom, he get the same stick and sponge and clean himself with it. I wouldn't want to do that, but that's the way it was done back in the Roman Empire, at least during that time period. But that's why you can use something like the washcloth to clean yourself. Put it in something like this with Clorox, shake it around a little bit, let it set for a couple of hours, and take it out, scrub it out, wring it out, hang it on the line, let it dry, and reuse it hundreds of times. You can get different colors from different people in your group, or you could take and actually, if you wanted to get really fancy about it, you could take and put their initials sewn into the cloth. I mean, that would keep anybody from using each other's butt wiper. Personally, I think the absolute best thing that you can store, that you can go to the store and buy to clean yourself during a long-term gridding situation, is baby wipes. These are there's 96 wipes in these. You can buy these in the boxes. It has like I think about 12 of these packages in the box. I'm not certain right now. I have to go look, but I think it's 10 or 12 of these packages in each box. I think different boxes. There's different size boxes you can buy, and these are sold. And of course, where the baby diapers and things are sold. But the good things about these right here is they 96 of them, and if you use them right, you can do like you did the washcloth there. Use, fold, and use, and then throw away. And take it to the burn pile and burn it after you get a bag full of them, or take it straight to the burn pile and burn them, whatever you want to do to keep it all sanitary. But where it's right here for one adult, for one person, if you use one of these a day, say you use the restroom one time a day, use one of these per day, this is good for 96 days. So you can see 96 days versus a roll of toilet paper per week. So you got 96 days right here. And it's sanitary, it's clean, 96 days right here. Roll of toilet paper for each person, at least one for the males for 1 week. You can see the size right here. Female, 2. So you can see this right here is a whole lot better option because it saves a whole lot of storage space. And if these, I've never had these really dry out. I've had some like 2 years old in storage, and they've never dried out. But if they do dry out, all you have to do is add a little water to them, and they're back to having, and they have moisture back in them, so you can use them. But these are a really good option, I think, to store because, like I said, they're small, they're cheap, they're a little bit. I've not really figured it up, but you might be, if you figure up how many uses you get, like 96. You can use the bathroom 96 times, clean yourself 96 times versus toilet paper. The price, I'm not certain about the price difference. I need to figure it up, but I'd say this would actually be a cheaper way to go also. So with these, you have actually better cleaning. It's smaller, takes up less space in your storage, and you can store a whole bunch of these. Imagine how many of these you could store inside a container like this. But anyway, guys, that's oh yeah, one more thing I just about forgot. There are actually these little toilet paper tissue coins, or coin tissues that they're called, and they're real small. They're about that big around. I don't have any of them because they're expensive, but I think I'm going to buy a few boxes of these. They're like I think there's 100 of these in a package for $35. Like I said, they're pretty expensive, but they're about that thick and about that big around, and you just put a couple of spoonfuls of water on those, and then they just fold right out to a good sized tissue about so long. And you can use those, and those will make those will be excellent for taking in a bug out bag or something like that. Look, like I said, you can use mullion leaves in the forest when you're camping or hunting or something. But I take toilet paper most of the time. If you find yourself without any, then you can use like mullein leaves or any other soft green leaf. That will work pretty good. But if you want to have the ultimate and space saving toilet paper to clean yourself with after number 2 in a long-term SHTF situation, then the little corn tissues will be a good option, especially if you are really pressed for space. Well guys, hope you enjoyed this video and you found it useful and didn't get offended by anything I said. As you could tell, it was kind of hard to talk about this because I was trying to talk around it without actually offending anyone. Because I know a lot of people, like I said, are snowflakes. And I'm sure, even though I told everyone that was easily offended, and it might be a snowflake, to go find a safe space before I start the video, I'm sure some stuck around just to get offended. So that's something to gripe about in the comments below. So if you got offended, if you're a snowflake and you got offended, then be sure to leave a comment below to tell me that you got offended. But if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you stored your own toilet paper, if you stored your own baby wipes, if you stored your own washcloths specifically for cleaning yourself after number 2, then leave a comment below. Let me know how you did that and what you did. And if you have it, leave a comment below. Let me know why you have it. Because you need to get to it, you need to do it now because it's really important. The next time, I'm Creekmore signing off.